imagine joining a ship in the early 1700s where you could vote for your captain. You could help decide the rules. If you lost a body part in a battle, you could claim compensation. You haven't joined the Royal Navy? Oh no, you've become a pirate. By the end of this video, you're going to see how pirate rules worked and why outlaw ships actually treated their men better than the legal ones. Forget the film versions of pirate ships. We imagine a pirate captain on the quarterdeck barking orders and everybody must obey, or out comes the cutlass. But aboard many Golden Age pirate ships, his authority was surprisingly limited. A contemporary account from Bartholomew Roberts' crew describes the captaincy as being obtained by the suffrage of the majority, i.e. they voted him in. And if they stopped liking your captain, you could replace him. Pirates really did fire their own captains. Charles Vane was one of the most notorious pirates of the period, a brutal man. In 1718, he encountered a French warship. He wanted to retreat, probably to save his own neck. The crew, they wanted to attack, and so they voted. Vane lost, and he was out. They voted another new captain, Jack Rackman, in place instead. He was actually famous for sailing with Anne, Bonny, and Mary Read, two lady pirates, and we will look into their history on another video. So please subscribe if you want to get that video. There are other captains noted to have suffered the same "you're not good, you're out" fate. One was Edward England. He wasn't just voted out, his crew marooned him for trying to show mercy to another defeated captain. These pirates were brutal. The captain served only because he was felt the best man for the job by his crew. And that begs the question, why does a boat full of criminals want to build a fair system? Well, it was very simple. They knew what the alternative was like. Many of these pirates had worked aboard merchant or naval vessels, and they knew that those captains held enormous authority over the ordinary sailors. They controlled their discipline. They controlled their work hours. They could order floggings or even keel hullings, a brutal punishment that could kill. And if they wanted to, they could withhold your rations, or in some cases, you would even just not get paid. And this led to piracy happening. In the James Every tale that I've told on this channel previously, he becomes a pirate with his entire ship because they didn't get paid. So when they became pirates, they wanted to take control of their own ship and their own lives. And they decided to build something different. It wasn't only the captain who held power on the ship. You see, the captain had a rival. He actually had somebody who could keep his power in check. Think of it almost like your union rep. This guy was also elected by the pirates in general, and he was called the Quartermaster. And this is where the system gets very interesting. The captain was your military commander. You are going into chase or into battle. You need somebody who knows how to kill, how to win, how to manage to board the ship and steal all the stuff. And his authority became absolute. However, when the ships were in ordinary life mode, going from one place to another, it was the quartermaster who held the power. He supervised the provisions, he distributed the captured goods, not the captain, and he settled disputes, and it was him, quartermaster, who delivered the disciplines. Two centers of power to control the very two different areas of what life as a pirate was. But two officers doesn't really make a democracy, does it? Surviving articles from Bartholomew Roberts contain a quite incredible line. We are considering armed and dangerous criminals here, and he talks about every man having a vote in affairs of the moment. Basically, on the ship, major decisions would be decided by the entire company, not just the captain, not just the quartermaster. In fact, the pirate historian Marcus Rediker describes these as being more like a town meeting that's floating. If you went to the pirate side, you joined this strange little society by agreeing to follow its rules. A kind of pirate code, shall we say. So when we think of the pirate code, we think of a kind of universal bad guy constitution. That was not the case. Individual crews did draw up their own articles of agreement. These things established things like how pirate treasure would be divided, what share everybody would receive, what happened if you did something that was forbidden on the boat. For example, some boats had rules like they restricted drinking after a certain hour and they banned fighting on their ship. What happened if somebody stole from another crew member? They had rules, as I've said, on fighting, but also on gambling. So normal pirate bad behaviour was actually kept in check. Maybe it was bad for business. So if everybody signed the rules and everybody had a vote, did everybody get paid the same too? We've seen the Hollywood movies, haven't we? All the treasure goes to the pirate captain and he takes it away and he buries it. I've covered that myth in another video as well. When it came to pirate loot, these highly democratic pirates in the golden age of sailing and piracy had a rule for dividing it up. They put it into shares. So imagine, big pile of gold and it's in 100 shares. Your captain and your quartermaster would get around 2 shares. Specialists, he would get 1.5 shares, maybe 1.25 shares, and your average Joe Soap, from the cook to the galley people to the swab boy, everybody else would get 1 whole share. But on merchant and naval ships, it was those commanders who were by far the most well rewarded and the wealthiest, and you can only imagine when you're treating your men so brutally why that would create so many problems and why so many ships turned over to piracy. Well, this is a really cool part of being a pirate. They had their own pirate injury compensation scheme. Piracy was a very dangerous job. There's a good chance you weren't coming out alive. You suffered cannon fire, musket ball injuries from splintered timbers, you could get sword wounds, you could even lose entire limbs or your life. In Robert's articles about that boat, they state that a man who lost a limb or was crippled would get $800 from the common stock of the ship, which you can imagine, $800 back in the early 1700s. That's a lot of money. Smaller injuries were given smaller compensations. This wasn't modern healthcare. It couldn't pay for healthcare. They weren't getting physiotherapy. There was no sick pay being a pirate. But it did underline a simple principle. You were doing a dangerous job. You were working as a team. And if you became injured seriously doing this, the team owed you compensation in return. So we've looked at all these different things. Does that mean that pirates were really quite progressive and decent people, even though they sailed under the black skull flag? Well, unlike Hollywood, we should not romanticize these people. And we can't even call them men. There were women on these ships. No, pirates robbed, they threatened, they killed people. They participated also, sadly, in the slave economy, especially the well-known Barbary pirates. So there you have it. Pirate ships were forms of democracy in the golden age of piracy. Why? Quite simply so that they could make it the most efficient machine possible for taking wealth from other people. And secondly, so they could keep order over the men for the long periods when they weren't plundering and looting. If you've enjoyed this look at the rules and regs around piracy, then please subscribe to the channel and have a look in the playlist on piracy. There's a few more interesting tales from the high seas.